Hi, I'm Jamie Paul, and I love to read and love to read out loud. So I love participating in the Goodnight Flagstaff program, and I'm especially excited about Race to the Sun, which is the book we are currently reading. You can find a new chapter from one of our favorite family-friendly books chosen by the community at 8 p.m. each weeknight on the Literacy Center's YouTube channel and on Crater Radio, which is a local online radio station. Occasionally, we slip up and it's a little after 8, or like in this case, we skipped a whole day, but we try to stick to that schedule. The previous chapter is replayed on Crater Radio each weeknight at about 7:45, just before the new chapter airs. You can also listen to all previous Goodnight Flagstaff recordings on YouTube. We are currently reading Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and if you would like to check it out, it's on the Hoopla app that you can get with your Coconino County or Flagstaff City library card. So check it out today. The chapters are fast and they end on cliffhangers. Please email us if you'd like to join our team of readers and connect with your community through stories. All ages are welcome, and hopefully tomorrow night for chapter 9, we will have some campers joining us reading as characters from the book. Last time we read together, Nizhoni was fighting Mr. Charles and winning when her father walked in and asked what was going on. When she tried to explain, the knife she'd seen earlier appeared to be a mechanical pencil. No one believed her. Her father grounded her and took her phone away and then left her at home while they all went out to dinner with a monster. And now for chapter 7. No matter what I do, sleep won't come. I toss and turn and flip and flap, utterly miserable. I try to get more comfortable, fluffing my pillows and smoothing my blankets until they're all lined up with the sheets the way I like them. But nothing works. Still wide awake. Because honestly, how could I sleep after what Mr. Charles said to me? I replay the conversation in my head, trying to make sense of it. According to him, my dad is totally normal, but my mom is a former enemy because she's directly related to Changing Woman's son, whoever that was. And that makes me a threat. But how can I be a threat? I did land a pretty spectacular headbutt to his stomach, but he wanted to kill me even before that. Maybe I should run away. But I can't leave Mac behind. Charles wants him for something. What did he mean by, he will come in quite handy? My empty stomach flaps at the thought of Mac being brainwashed, or worse, by a monster at this very moment. But if Dad doesn't believe me, what am I supposed to do? His boss can lie all he wants, but when I told the truth, I got punished. I do not deserve this, I say out loud. There are very few things we do deserve, says a voice from the top of my bookshelf. It sounds croaky, a bit like that of an old man who smoked too many cigars. I sit up straight, blinking nervously. Haven't you ever heard that saying? The voice continues. Life is a box of chocolates? Oh dear, no, that's not it. Life is a bed of roses? No, what's the blasted saying? I know, life's not fair. Am I hallucinating? Did the basketball to my face knock something loose? Did someone speak? I ask hesitantly. Why, of course someone is speaking. Me. I slide off the bed and make my way warily toward the source of the voice. It's coming from the top shelf of my bookcase where I keep my favorite stuffed animals. I know I'm a little old for them, but some have been my friends for so long. I just couldn't bear to give them away when Dad came around with the donation box right before Christmas. Who's there? I scan the shelf for a hidden speaker. Maybe Mr. Charles bugged my room. But the voice sounds nothing like his, and I don't see anything suspicious. Hello? I ask cautiously. Yate, someone responds in Navajo. I reach up and quickly part the animals, pushing aside a purple bear and a pink narwhal named Cupcake to find the owner of the voice. In the middle of the shelf sits my stuffed horned toad, Mr. Yazzie. But Mr. Yazzie is no longer a toy. He's a very real, very alive lizard. Spiky head, beady black eyes, and all. And I'm pretty sure he's smiling at me. Are you? I whisper in awe. Naasho is he? I was going to ask if you were a talking horned toad. The little guy frowns. Naasho is he means horned toad. and I am most certainly talking, so I believe the answer to your question is yes. Is this for real? I mean, how did you get here? Where did you come from? Why, from you, Nizhoni. You picked me out at the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture gift shop. Have you forgotten? He looks crestfallen. Not at all, I rushed to reassure him. I just remember you being a bit different. Oh, yes, you mean. He pokes his side with a little claw. Not alive. I nod. While others might scream or faint when a formerly stuffed horned toad speaks to them, I've been raised to take seemingly supernatural things in stride. Up to now, talking animals hadn't been a part of my everyday life, but my Shimasana told me that there's more to the world than we humans can see, and it's best to keep an open mind. So that's what I'm doing, keeping an open mind. A slightly freaked out open mind. Well, quite right, Mr. Yazzie says. Of course. Thank you, by the way, for choosing me. It gets a bit boring living in a museum. I mean, it's not that I don't enjoy seeing a new exhibit every once in a while, but honestly, even lizards like a bit of adventure. And let's face it, living things don't belong in a museum. A couple of years ago, Dad dragged Mac and me to the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture in Santa Fe for a lecture on contemporary Navajo jewelry. The lecture was pretty good, but Mac wouldn't stop fidgeting, so Dad had sent us out to browse in the gift shop. He even gave us some spending money. Mac went straight for the art books, of course, and I loved looking at all the bright scarves and silver jewelry, but what really caught my attention was the shelf of stuffed toys, based on animals native to the Southwest. There had been a lot of great choices, but the palm-sized horned toad was my favorite. He had a sand-colored hide and a wide, flat body, with a mane of small horns that flared around his face like a fierce cross between a lion and a dragon. The tag attached to his short tail said that horned toads were considered a blessing and symbol of protection by traditional Navajos. If you caught one, the little grandfather, as we sometimes call horned toads, might help you in the future. Best of all, he was soft and fluffy, but tough and prickly at the same time, kind of how I saw myself. We were kindred spirits. But that was before he started talking to me. I don't mean to be rude, I say, but how long have you been alive? Oh dear, where are my manners? Allow me to introduce myself. I am Theodis Alvin Yazzie. He holds out a little claw to me. Yes, I know. I gently pinch his claw between my thumb and finger and shake. I gave you that name. You did? He murmurs. Indeed, indeed. How could I forget? That's what sitting on a shelf will do to the old brain. Don't suppose you have any coffee? Of course, my previously stuffed horned toad wants coffee. Totally normal. I'm not allowed to drink coffee. Dad says it will stunt my growth. But if you really want some, maybe later I could warm up some instant. If I ever get out of my room, that is. He makes a disgusted face. Instant? Bah! I've never understood the appeal of a drink that smells like gym socks and dirt, but adults and talking horned toads apparently take it quite seriously. Wait, why am I thinking about coffee? Focus, Nizhoni. Recently animated stuffed animals here? So why are you talking to me? He smiles, or at least I think he does when the side of his wide mouth curl up like that. He could just have gas for all I know. Because you need me to help you fight the monster. You mean Mr. Charles? Most assuredly. I seem to be the only one who can tell. My dad thinks I'm making it up. Because he's not familiar with the old stories, Mr. Yazzie said with a melancholy sigh. Or he has forgotten them in his grief over losing your mother. I wonder how the lizard knows so much about my dad and my mom. Everyone seems to know more about her than I do. It's getting frustrating. The elders don't pass things down the way they used to, continues Mr. Yazzie, and the young people don't care to learn. Back when I was just a small toad, we were taught all the old stories, the 4 worlds that came before this one, first man and first woman. My personal favorites are the hero twins, he says. No one tells any of these stories very much anymore, so people have forgotten how to live in the world. He sighs again. I'm sorry, I say, seeing his spiky mane droop sadly. I'm sorry no one's learning the stories. My Shimasana taught me some when I had my Canalda. Then something occurs to me. In fact, now that I think about it, I saw my first monster soon after that. Your coming of age ceremony surely awakened your powers, Yazi says, matter-of-factly. So shall we go slay the monster then? But I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Never lock a gift horse in the house. No, no, no. You can lead a horse to fodder. No, no. Oh, yes. We must not put the cart before the horse. He looked so happy, recovered from his moment of melancholy, that I hate to burst the bubble, but bust I must. I am all for fighting Mr. Charles, but I'm stuck in my room, if you hadn't noticed. Besides, what can one girl and a one-stuffed horned toad do against a monster with a knife? No offense about the stuffed part. Mr. Yazi huffs a bit, as if he was indeed offended by the stuffed part, but he says, "He had a knife, did he?" Of course. He did, being a monster and all. Don't expect him to fight fair. We'll just have to procure you some weapons of your own, won't we? Weapons? That sounds promising. Yes, but we'll have to go get them. He looks at me. Do you have the map? What map? I ask. I don't have any map. Maybe the weapons are buried somewhere, like a treasure chest. Maybe we can Google map it? I ask hopefully. Well, once I get out of my room and have my phone back. My dear, he says, puffing out his collar a bit, we are looking for the glittering world, which I can assure you is not on any Google map. What exactly is a Google map? Never mind. The map must have been lost. We'll need a new one. How do we get a new one? Najee Azda can help us. Who? Her map, Mr. Yazi continues, ignoring my question, will show us the path to the House of the Sun. Once you get there, you will ask him politely for the right weapons. I am trying to keep an open mind, I say carefully. But you say him like the sun's a person, and last time I checked, the sun was a huge star millions of miles away in outer space. Or at least I think that's what the sun is. Where is Davery when his science facts when I need him? The sun is much more than a star in the glittering world. There the sun has a fine house at the end of a rainbow road. Lovely, really. I've been there often. Well, a few times anyway. But a warning, he can be rude. His nickname is the Merciless One. Maybe we should skip his place then. No, if you want your weapons, that's where we must go. Can we do all this before my dad gets home? Because if he finds out I went on some crazy quest to a glittering rainbow place for monster-killing weapons when I wasn't even supposed to leave my room, I'll be grounded until high school. It's supposed to be a joke, my way of dealing with all the scary things Mr. Yazi's telling me, but the horned toad doesn't laugh. If you don't succeed, Nizhoni, Mr. Yazi says, his tone serious, you won't have to worry about high school. I swallow the lump in my throat. Mr. Yazi peers at me with one big eye. This is important, Nizhoni. I want you to understand that the dangers we will face are very real. You must be prepared. Throughout history, other people have tried to fight monsters and failed. What happened to them? They disappeared and were never heard from again. I can only assume they perished. Perished as in died? Well, yes. What do you think happens to monster slayers who fail to slay monsters? They're called monsters for a reason, and it's not because they're warm and fuzzy. For a long moment, Mr. Yazi looks at me without saying anything. Little beads of sweat trickle down the sides of my face. Death is always a possibility, he says finally, but this is your destiny. You must put a stop to this enemy, and not only for your own sake, but also for your people. If you are brave enough and determined enough, I will do what I can to help. Are you willing to try? My destiny? I thought my destiny was to be a sports hero or an internet sensation, but instead I'm supposed to be a fighter for my family. What did he call me? A monster slayer? That sounds kind of cool. It's not what I'd expected, but I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm not okay with dying, but this is a chance to do something real, something important. It's what I've been waiting for all this time. I nod, crossing my fingers that I'll be up to the task. Okay, I'll do it. Very good. Then wake up. And with that, Mr. Yazi gathers his powerful legs beneath his reptile body and leaps from the shelf, straight at my face. And that is the end of chapter 7. Stay tuned for chapter 8, also dropping tonight. And then chapter 9 on Thursday night. We hope you're enjoying the story. Good night, Flagstaff.
Hello, welcome to Goodnight Flagstaff. I'm Jen Geyer, and I'm happy to be reading to you tonight from Race to the Sun. Thank you for tuning in to our community story time. You can find a new chapter from one of our favorite family-friendly books at 8 p.m. each weeknight on the Literacy Center's YouTube channel and on Crater Radio, a local online radio station. The previous chapter is replayed on Crater Radio each weeknight at about 7:45. Just before the new chapter airs. You can also listen to all previous Goodnight Flagstaff recordings on YouTube. We are currently reading Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. If you'd like to check it out to read along with us at home, it is available in the Hoopla app with your Coconino County Library card. Check one out today. Please email us if you'd like to join our team of writers and connect with your community through stories. All ages welcome. Our email is GoodnightFlagstaff@gmail.com. Last time we read together, Nizhoni tries to get some sleep in her room, but keeps replaying her conversation with the monster. Then, out of nowhere, her stuffed horned toad, Mr. Yazzie, starts talking to her, but he's not stuffed, and he knows all the old stories. Mr. Yazzie tells her she needs weapons to kill the monster. She'll need a map to the glittering world so she can ask the sun for those weapons. Then she wakes up. Chapter 8. It helps to be a sensitive artist. I wake to a quiet knock on the door. I open my eyes, feeling like I'm pulling myself out of a vat of thick honey, and then it all comes back to me in a flash. I remember Mr. Yazzie and the horrible way he launched himself at me, and I bolt straight out of bed. I look around wildly, hands clutching at my cheeks, feeling for damage. Not sure what damage a pet horned toad could do, but wild ones are quite fierce, so I imagine it could be bad. But no, my face is fine. Well, except my nose is still sore from basketball. I breathe a sigh of relief. Another knock, this time louder. "Who's there?" I ask warily, half expecting to hear a strange little croaking voice. "Nizhoni? Can I come in?" Just Dad, not a talking lizard. Relief. Or maybe not. Because if it isn't Mr. Yazzie at my door, then I must have been asleep and dreamed the whole thing, and there's no one to help me fight Mr. Charles. "Nizhoni?" Dad asks again. "Please let me in." I make a quick pass by the bookshelf to see if a certain stuffed animal is where he should be. He is, looking completely not alive, and go over to unlock the door before flopping back down on the mattress. I try to fake being calm, though my heart is beating out of my chest. Mr. Yazzie seemed so real. But I don't have time to contemplate it further because Dad pushes the door open, and a most wonderful smell enters the room along with him. The aroma is emanating from a round foil takeout container with a white cardboard top that reads Pasta Palace. "I brought you dinner," Dad says, holding the food out to me. "Thank you!" I lock the weird dream away for now and concentrate on licking off the drool already gathering in the corners of my mouth. I take back half the mean things I was thinking about you. He shakes the container slightly and laughs. "Only half? Is that spaghettini macaravioli?" I ask, pushing myself up to a sitting position and fluffing the pillows at my back. "I believe so," he smiles, handing me the foil pan and a plastic fork. I peel off the top, and the most beautiful pile of spaghetti, macaroni, and ravioli covered in red sauce appears before me. Italian heaven. I dig in as he takes a seat next to me on the bed. He watches me for a while, then gets a funny expression. I pause. My mouth full of melty cheese and 3 kinds of pasta. Do I have it all over my face? Is that why you're staring? I wipe my mouth with my sleeve. Dad laughs. No, you're fine. He sighs. "What were you thinking, Nizhoni, with Mr. Charles?" I groan. I should have known that dinner would come with strings attached. "I need to understand why you attacked him," he says. "I know you've had some problems with kids at school in the past, but this just doesn't seem like you." "He had a knife," I explain calmly. I'd practiced using a reasonable voice before I fell asleep and dreamed of Mr. Yazzie. It comes out very convincingly, if I do say so myself. Although, with food in my mouth, it sounds more like "Hiaba wife," which, admittedly, would not merit a self-defense maneuver, but Dad seems to get the idea. Yet I can see from his expression that he still doesn't believe me. "You think I'm lying," I say, feeling distinctly worm-beautish again. He folds his hands in his laps and looks down. I consider telling Dad all the things Mr. Charles said about Mom's family, but every time I bring her up, Dad gets super sad. Like sitting around staring at bad TV and forgetting to make dinner level of sad. Until I know more about what Mr. Charles was saying, I don't want to mention my mom, so I limit my explanation. He said I could ruin his plans and that he had to kill me. Dad's frown lines deepen to valleys on his forehead. Why would a wealthy oil executive like Mr. Charles feel threatened by a 12-year-old girl? I don't know, but... And kill you, with all of us standing right outside. I know, but maybe the knife was magic. That idea just occurred to me, and it's not a bad one. The knife did not look like a normal one. Nizhoni, Dad says in his no-nonsense voice, stop it. Your story doesn't even make sense. I take another bite, but I don't feel much like eating anymore. My shoulders slump, and I poke listlessly at a ravioli. A single tear treks down my cheeks and lands on a mound of cheese. There's nothing wrong with having a big imagination, Dad says. Your mom sure did, always seeing monsters lurking everywhere. I jerk my head up so fast I almost drop the spaghettini machiavelli to the floor. Dad is talking about Mom? What? You never told me that. She was an artist, and artists need big imaginations. That's probably where you get it from. Dad, I say, setting my food aside, this is serious. I need to know everything about Mom seeing monsters, because I always knew Mac had a big imagination, he goes on, but I think you do too. Both my kids are artists at heart. Dad, you're not listening, I say, irritated. About Mom and the monsters. But no matter what, Nizhoni, he says, his tone sharpening, you can't go around attacking people. Fortunately, I was able to smooth things over at dinner. I moan in frustration, but it doesn't register with him. It's like he can't even see or hear me. Did Mr. Charles do something to him? Or is he just my normally self-absorbed dad who never listens when I talk about my problems? I think I'm done, I say, thrusting the pasta palace container back at him. He takes it and carefully puts the lid back on. I'll save this for tomorrow's lunch. He stands up. Oh, and here's your phone. He pulls it out of his pocket and puts it on my nightstand. But I don't want you to use it tonight. Get some sleep, and we can talk more later. But we never do talk, because by tomorrow, it's too late. Thank you for tuning in. Join us next time for Chapter 9 of Race to the Sun. Good night, Flagstaff.